Alrighty, hey gang, welcome back. Been a while, huh? So, let's see. First of all, we're gonna do this with the sound of the chainsaws. They're logging up there on the DNR land behind the property there. So hopefully that won't be too annoying. We'll see how that goes. Today I'm gonna talk to you about building rocket stoves and using a material I've been using for 5 years or 6 years or so. Ceramic fiberboard is what I call it. There's a lot of different names for it, but it's basically a formed ceramic fiber board, and it's highly insulative. It's incredibly durable in terms of its ability to withstand high temperatures. It's not very durable in terms of compression or tensile strength. You could break it quite easily. It's light, pretty expensive, hard to find. So I'm just going to give you guys some tips on what I found about this stuff. First of all, you could find it pretty much in any industrial center. So if you live near a big city, you will be able to find some of this. If you live somewhere where there's a lot of industry, I mean, it's not a big city, but a lot of boilers and any kind of high temperature, large power stacks, things like that, again, you'll be able to find this. So what you need to do is just go online and look for local refractory suppliers, boiler supplies, sometimes chimney supplies, not often. Usually it's going to be more industrial, but sometimes those terms cross over. And this stuff is used in industry all the time, in large boilers and large mills. So anywhere you find things like that, you should be able to find a supplier for this stuff. It comes, like I said, in a variety of names depending on who made it, and there's a variety of grades. For the most part, you probably don't need to worry about that too much with rocket stoves. I don't think that I've seen in my experience I've used from the two main suppliers in this country, my local suppliers who provide from the two main manufacturers, and I've bought some of the cheapest and some of the higher density stuff, and it all seems to hold up just fine. I've been burning them for, like I said, 5 years. Last year I heated completely with a stove built out of this, no lining in the firebox, no protection at all, and I did it just to see how it would go. And it went really well. It held up incredibly well. I actually took it apart. I've got pictures of it. Maybe I'll get some in here. And then I put it back together, and I'm going to use it again this year. The walls of the firebox were abraded. As you guys know, my pet peeve about loading the firebox carefully with rocket stoves, because insulation is so crucial. They did abrade. This is 1 inch thick. It comes in various thicknesses. I abraded about 3/4 of the way through both of the cheeks in the firewall. I just flipped them over, and I'm going to use them again this year and see how far it takes to get all the way through them. I might put some in my aluminum series stoves when I build these cores. I have been using split fire bricks in the firebox for 3 years now or so, in the ceramic fiberboard riserless core, and in the batch cores that I build, I always have to do that, and that protects the liner. So if you're worried about abrasion, that's a great way to deal with that. You can just put fire brick splits against this, or if you even have thinner material, that's obviously better. I did actually cut up some pizza stones, which are about 1/4 inch thick, of the same material, and use those for abrasion resistance in some stoves. That works very, very well. So those are some tricks to deal with the abrasion fragility, I suppose you'd say, of this stuff. But other than that, you don't need to worry about it. Now when you first get it like this, it's fairly soft. It feels really, you can damage it with your fingernail. Not real easily, but you can. But once you fire it, it's not like it gets really strong, but it does get harder, and you'll hear it change. It'll go from like a kind of a dull thud here, and it'll start to ring a little bit once it's been fired. So don't worry about this stuff unprotected in the riser or anywhere in the flame path. It's going to be just fine. It's actually the best material I've ever found to use in the rocket stove, because it's so insulative compared to any of those cast refractory cores we've always been making, or brick cores, which are, in my opinion, the worst, or cob cores with perlite, which function well but are soft. This stuff, you just stack it together like Legos, and it holds up great. Now, a couple cautions: it does dust when you cut it, and you want to minimize breathing that dust. I don't worry about holding it. It's the kind of dust that hurts you, like dust on the ground. It gets in your lungs, and you want to keep it out of there. So anytime you're cutting it, wear a mask. When you cut it, you can use a coarse tooth saw. You'll wreck the saw, but it'll cut well, and it will continue to cut even after it's dull. A serrated knife works okay. Some people use a router. I don't like to kick up that much dust. The best power tool I found is an oscillating tool. So again, you'll wreck your blades, but they'll continue to work even at you. You can't use them again for something else, but they'll work for this for a long time. So my battery's about to die. I'm gonna turn the camera off and I'm gonna go make some cob, and then we'll start putting one of these together and you can see how it works. So, okay, I'll see you in just a few minutes. Alrighty, so a couple things. It's hot out here. It's September 4th, I guess, 5th, 4th. It's like 90 already. I don't think it's 10 in the morning yet, so I'm gonna sweat like a pig. Yeah, I might even end up in shorts by the end of this damn thing. We'll see what happens. Anyways, so here's what I'm doing. I got the base. Now what I'm gonna use here is my Walker Super Hot J. It's just a 6-inch J style rocket made with ceramic fiberboard. I've got it all pre-cut, and I'm gonna line the firebox with split bricks, like I said, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm just gonna stack it up, and then this is gonna be I'm gonna do a rough surround. Now, the way that you can use this stuff in builds is so cool because it's so insulative, and you can use a myriad of covering options. So covering it with thin metal is just fine, steel, aluminum even, since it's so insulated. The goals with covering it is just to protect it from damage from the outside, abrasion, to generally seal it to keep any air from coming in or going out from other than the places where you want it to. That doesn't need to be super tight with the metal boxes. It doesn't seem like it doesn't need to be, you know, watertight, airtight, but you want the gaps as close as you can get them. And the other part of that surround is to make it so, you know, keep it together so you can pick it up and make it portable if that's what you want. And in this case, I'm going to use masonry, so brick, cob, stone. I'm probably going to end up using all of those in this because I'm just using up this scrap of brick I have left. There's a vulture up there. And what I wanted to share with you about these different techniques and what makes this stuff so great is that it's so versatile. Since it's ceramic based, it sticks really well to clay and masonry, so integrating it with bricks works really well. Integrating it with rocks or tile, you can build a backer board surround and then tile it, and it's insulated enough that the materials on the outside will hold up just fine, and they'll also bond really well to it and form a good surround. So really a lot of ways you can go. So when it comes to building with the board, the first thing you want to do obviously is level your pad. I did put some gravel under here. This is going to get wet. That's another thing. I left one of these boards. I put one in the fireplace, used it as the floor of my stove last year, burned it for a few weeks to cure it, and then I think, which only probably takes one firing actually, but I burned it for a few weeks because I did, and then I left it outside. It was outside for probably not quite a year, but 9 months, all winter, snowed on, buried in snow, frozen, and repeated freeze and thaw cycles in the sun, in the rain. I should have brought it up from below where I have it down in my scrap pile. It's just fine. Hard as a rock. It's not as a rock, it's as hard as the stuff gets. It just maintained all its durability. I have my aluminum series stove over there with this exact same core, and I've been burning that daily, cooking on it all summer, and then I burned it inside for a few months last summer using it as a heater, or last winter rather, and it's been burned for about 2 years now, probably 1,000 times I'd say. I mean, so many times, twice a day for the last 100 days anyways. That's 200, and then for years. So, and it's holding up just fine, rain, shine. So out here I'm going to build this on the ground without too much concern about protecting it. I'm going to try and get some drainage going away from it once I get things final up here, but that's all I'm going to worry about. The bricks, I'm going to use just regular mortar or just regular clay and sand. They will eventually get washed by rain. I've got a little bit of an overhang here to protect me, And then this will be inside this sauna shower, and it's going to all get wet. And I'm just going to use rocks, I think, and mesh around the radiator, filled with rocks, to create the sauna heater from that side of it, and I think it'll be fine in the moisture. So anyways, let's get on with building with this thing. So it can be a little tricky to stack up, and I'm just going to kind of rough it in, and then I'm going to take a break from the filming and probably do some brickwork so that I can really show you how it goes. But I wanted to start with it empty so you could just see from nothing. So I'm not going to necessarily describe everything I'm doing, but what I wanted to show you while I have the bricks off of here is that one of the things you can do if you're just stacking this up is you can pin it together. So I've got some stainless wire here. It's pretty thick. I'm not sure what the gauge is. Screws work just fine. Finishing nails are great. Anything like that, actually screws work a little better, but you can kind of tear the stuff apart if you're too aggressive with them, so you got to be careful with this stage of it. But you can just use these as temporary position holders. You can leave them in. It doesn't matter whether they're strong enough or not strong enough. I think they're going to hold up forever in there because they're protected within the insulation. But it doesn't really matter. You're just using them to temporarily hold things together while you get situated. So with that said, and I'm not going to go too far with this right now, like I said, because the bricks are going to make things a lot easier for me. So I just wanted to show you that what you can do is just simply stack things together, and then whatever's easy for you to pin. And I need a little something to push it in. The stuff's actually pretty durable. So you can just go like that, hold your parts together, and go from there. So okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to lay a little surround around this and just kind of it might take me a little while, get started on the base and the surround, and then we'll come back and we'll put it together. Okay. Alrighty, again. So that was really easy. It took me maybe like 20 minutes just to stack those up. Now my brickwork is always terrible. This is exceptionally bad, so if that bothers you, you might want to look away. I apologize. But anyways, I just threw them down. I'm about out of bricks now. I've got a couple that I'm going to try and save in case I need them. So I'm going to stop there. And what I wanted to point out is the 6-inch J, the Walker Super Hot, is designed. You can make this whole surround without making a single cut in the bricks. These are all staggered, and the size is just right that it just goes around without making any cuts. When you get to the top, depending on what you do, you can continue. It'll still just be 2 bricks like this to make your bridges across the tunnel. So again, you can continue all the way and build this whole thing with, I'm not sure how many bricks, not too many, 40 maybe, and no cuts, and just stack it up in probably an hour or so and have yourself with the front end done of a stove. So it's one of the things I love about this stuff. It just makes all of this part of the build so quick and so easy, as well as, of course, making the performance just through the roof. Okay, so there we go. That's the core assembled. Now I'm just going to somehow, get creative with my rock supplies here and my stuff, but I'm going to build a surround, set the riser on top once I get a surround on there, and then put a radiator over it, exhaust, and eventually wall up all around it with masonry of some type, probably rock. So I'm gonna take a break. Maybe we'll stop here for this video, and maybe we'll come back and do another one that incorporates the riser, or maybe we'll do it all in there. Okay guys, this actually didn't take long at all. I found awesome scraps. I mean, I knew what I had, but I didn't realize they'd fit together this well. So I just wanted to show you real quick. This has only been like 5 minutes of assembly, and I wanted to show you how to surround the firebox. So it's got the bricks on all sides except for on the burn tunnel side, and there's a reason for that. Obviously you can't hang a brick there, and also you want that to be insulated and hot as heck, right? So you want to span this, and you want to just cover that exposed material there by about 1/4 inch or so, so that when you're banging the wood, you're just not scraping against there. It'll hold up fine. The little things dinging, or it just doesn't want you banging on it like that. So the other thing I wanted to show you is the way this goes together. This is just my regular clay and sand mix. It's like 3-to-1 dry by volume sand to clay. So 3 scoops of sand, 1 scoop of clay. And it sticks to the, bonds to the ceramic fiberboard. Fabulous. So no worries there. And I'm just using, in this case, these old flagstone scraps I had, and going like that. Now I did the same thing there. That's actually just about flush with that brick. But that's it. You know, from here you set your barrel or whatever you're going to use for a radiator. I'm going to use a square Walker radiator, and I'm going to insulate this side, push the heat that way. This will all end up being insulated and probably covered with some roofing metal. You can't see me. So I'm going to infill these sides here with some of these little scraps that I'm going to find like this. And then I'm going to leave this open, I think, and put my riser on, set my radiator on, and then that'll give me room to kind of wiggle it around, and then I'll probably pull rocks up under it, and I'll figure out what I need to do to build a landing back here. I still got a ways to go, so that'll take a little while. Anyways, just want to show you how this goes together. Alrighty, hey gang. So that didn't take long at all. That was actually super easy. I'm stoked on how that turned out. Just using scraps, no cuts. I just wanted to kind of whack it together with a bunch of stuff I had laying around and not get dusty or any sweatier than I needed to be. So that came together really well. Now I want to show you how to do the riser, how I do the risers with these guys. Now that, like I said, there's a lot of ways you can cover these things. So riser could be covered with just thin steel or thin aluminum even, like I do in the aluminum series. It could be brick splits or fire brick splits. It could be whole bricks made up into a surround for it. I think one of the best ways to do it is to use an 8-inch stovepipe, make a surround around it. You could even use some like rabbit cage mesh or something like that. Make a surround around it and then infill with your own cob perlite, you know, clay sand perlite mix, whatever you might use to kind of compress it from the outsides, keep it stuck together, and seal the corners. What I'm going to show you, what I'm going to do here, since this is going to be a sauna, outdoor, not super critical, I can tear it apart if I need to, I'm going to do something really simple. And I've done this before. It actually, I haven't been able to damage one yet, but I haven't really tried, so I haven't burned one for a whole season or anything, but I burned one for probably a few dozen burns, and it didn't go anywhere. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I was saying that we can do pretty lightweight covers. So here's the riser. It's all stacked up, ready to go. It's on the, this is the radiator I'm going to use. And this is just a square riser, ceramic fiberboard. I pinned it together lightly. And here's the solution. You're going to laugh, as always, with my plenty solutions. Look at that. You guys ready for this? Yeah, this actually is plenty of seal for the, you know, that's really the main goal of this part. You know, you could just stick this thing in there bare and it would be just fine. And the only problem is it changes shape slightly as it cures, and you just would have no good way to seal the corners. You can use goops, and they make, you know, that's one of the things I'm trying to avoid. There are a whole host of products in this ceramic fiber range. You can buy rigidizer, you can buy caulkings, you can buy all sorts of things. We don't want to use more chemicals, you guys. You can do everything with clay and sand. Oh, I damaged the end of this. Isn't that the worst? You can do everything with clay and sand and avoid using any chemicals. If you've never mixed clay and sand, I've heard people say, oh, I saw the video with the wheelbarrows full of mud and I don't want to do that because I'm, you know, trust me, you're dealing with nasty chemicals, you spend a lot of money. This is a way better way to go. So, with all that said, what I'm looking for out of this, what functions we want from this material here is just to seal the edges and hold up to moderate heat. Now remember, this is really well insulated. I'm just going to have no luck here, so we're going to just... How about that, you guys? So easy, so inexpensive once you got through the expense. The ceramic fiberboard is expensive, there's no question about it, but it just saves you so much time, lasts a lifetime. Reuse it, take it apart, put it in your next stove, and as you can see, I just built this whole stove in maybe 2 hours or so. It's not done, but it's not far from done. So, I'm going to turn you guys back around. Alrighty guys, that's it. I just set her on there, line it up from the top. I am going to come around and put a little mud around the bottom to seal it, and then the top goes on, the radiator or your barrel, whatever you're going to use there. And that's a done deal. So I'm excited about that. It goes so quick. Now like I said, I expect to see outside temperatures here from the outside somewhere in the neighborhood of, you know, up here it's going to be hot. You can get 700 degrees on top of the barrels and stuff. So this will deteriorate a little bit, just a little lip I made. But as that, you know, the hottest part is going to go like that, and you'll get convective currents coming up the inside that you know, so those are actually cooler right there. So this is never going to get very hot. 500 degrees maybe if you're blasting it. From the inside, it's hard to say. It's pretty well insulated, and this has more insulation, so I think that's the worst side from deterioration. But you know, this material is so well insulated that what I've done with this so far, I feel pretty confident it's going to hold up for a long time. We'll find out. There's a lot of other ways to do it if it doesn't. So anyways, I'm going to turn you guys off, and actually no, let's set that radiator over there and see what that looks like. So something like that is what I'm going for. This might move over a little bit, I guess. Not move that rock. Anyways, that's what I got so far. Alrighty, well hey gang, check it out. So I went and ate some food and took a break, and then I came out here and it didn't take long at all, and I just kind of cobbled up this base for the radiator to land on. So I wanted to make sure that you guys understood kind of what that might look like. In most cases this would be a circle. If you're using a 55-gallon drum, I'm going to use that blue rectangle there. So what I did is just built up a base with a opening here and stuck this elbow in there, and then there's a well there, and the edge has just a layer of cob there ready to seal as we set the barrel down or the radiator down. I did run a little seal around the bottom of the riser as well, and as you can see there's a little bit of a well here for the flue gases to run out of. So I'm gonna put you back on the tripod here and set that radiator down, and I didn't test fit it, so it's probably gonna take a little work to get her on there right, but that gives you an idea of what it might look like. So okay, I'll turn you back on here in a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab that thing and try and set it down on top of there without knocking that riser too far off of there. Which I guess we'll see how I do. I think that's pretty much got her. I didn't do too bad there, actually. I'm gonna have to come around here with some of that cob and seal her up. And it's certainly not level. But I think since I'm gonna cover it with rocks, that I don't need to worry about that. You guys know how I like to do stuff sloppy. Maybe I'll stick a little wedge under there and get it closer to level. Okay. Well, that looks pretty good. Alrighty guys. I'm going to maybe poke at it a little more, but I think that's probably going to, for the most part, do it for the stove build. From here on out, I'm going to be surrounded with rocks and figuring out my final inside finish, and then eventually I'll get it covered with some insulation out here and a little bit of probably metal roofing. But an exhaust on there and a minute of mud around the thing, and it's ready to light. And I might do that tonight. We'll see what happens, but I think that's enough for the video. This is a long one, and I apologize for that, but hopefully you guys got some good information, maybe some ideas. So check it out, you guys. Stoked. Still going. It's late. It's, well, not late. It's 3:30. I've been going for a while. It's a mess out here, but that's pretty much got her roughed in. So I'll clean it up at some point, purge all the cracks, and you know, do all that stuff. I think what I'm going to do is put super wool insulation. You can get it when I salvage the glass tops out of the ovens. There's good super wool insulation around the oven inside. So I'll put that here, and then I think I'll just put a whole sheet of roofing all the way up so that any heat that does escape from this side will end up inside. Let's go take a look at the other side. It's a mess still, but it's pretty neat. So that's how the sauna side is going to look. And what I intend to do, obviously it's going to be pretty hot here near the wood. I'll probably have to cut that bench back. Maybe, I don't know. You know, it isn't going to get run for too terribly long. Maybe just one little half-hour load or so. But I'll probably cut that back. And yeah, I'm not sure how I'll finish it from there. But that's what it looks like on the inside. Alrighty, gang. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time.